The business model is a premium B2B SaaS, but the way that Featured operates is more of a marketplace. And marketplaces are a nightmare, like quite honestly. They're very, very hard because you've got to have both sides of the marketplace to ultimately work. You're constantly trying to find the right ratio. If one ratio is off, then it disrupts everything and it really slows momentum.
Welcome to SaaS That App, building B2B web applications. The podcast where we share real-world stories, practical advice, and tech insights for those building or thinking about starting a tech-enabled business. I'm your co-host, Aaron Marchbanks.
And I'm Justin Edwards. Each week we bring you the stories, strategies, and insights you need to build your SaaS or tech-enabled business smarter, not harder. Let's dive right in.
Hello and welcome back to SaaS That App. Today's guest knows a thing or two about scaling ideas, and he's got the hot pocket scars to prove it. Brett Farmiloe is the founder and CEO of Featured, a platform that's unlocking real human knowledge and democratizing thought leadership for over 50,000 experts and counting. Before Featured, Brett led Marketers, an award-winning SEO agency for small businesses. Now with Featured's recent 1 millionth answer milestone, huge, and the launch of Pitch Plus, Brett's taking his services background and turning it into a SaaS success. So get ready to learn a thing or two about making the leap from hands-on services to scalable software. Brett, welcome to the pod.
Thanks for having me, and don't make me show the hot pocket scars.
I won't make you show, but I'm going to ask you about it.
Okay, sounds
And
good.
with me, as always, my partner in crime, Justin Edwards, across the mic there, who now, without me having a beard, we wind up looking a lot more alike, which is, I'm just noticing.
Yeah, well, it makes you look a lot younger and me look a lot older, so.
Oh yeah, it just came off this past weekend. It was my winter fur, as they say. So we're finally getting some springtime, and I want to feel it on my face. So Brett, okay, Hot Pockets, I gotta lead with that. So I read this right, that you were sponsored by a food company with an unlimited supply of Hot Pockets, and you proceeded to eat that for like 3 meals a day for a month to bootstrap a startup? Is that right?
Pretty much, yep.
What is the deal there?
Yeah, so me and my buddies we founded a career education website where we went across the country in an RV interviewing people about their career paths and documented it on this website. And so to fund this RV tour, we looked for sponsors and we got a lot of rejections. One of the first rejections was, and this actually ties into the Hot Pockets, but we went out to LA in the RV that we owned and tried to get on MTV's Pimp My Ride. And I don't know if you guys have seen that show, heard of it, but we got to the final round. All of us went to the University of Arizona and we had this big U of A flag in the back. And so the whole crew was in there and they were like geeking out on it. They're like, oh, we've never done an RV before. We're going to put a hot tub on the roof. We're going to put video games here. Let's go get the producer. Producer comes in. He's not as excited. And he looks in the back and sees the flag. He's like, oh, did you guys go to U of A? We're like, you know what, man, bear down. We're trying to be all excited to get on the show. He's like, well, that sucks because I went to Arizona State. You guys have a good ride home. And so that was one of the first, not one of the first, one of the many to reject us. One of our buddies was the VP of marketing for a food company out in LA. So stopped by there and tried to get a sponsorship from her. She's like, look, guys, like you're friends with my son. I'd love to help you out. We can't write you a check, but we could give you this unlimited supply of Hot Pockets. And so we left there with a fat stack of food vouchers. And, it was at the time where my buddy was living on my couch. We were trying everything that we could to get this RV tour on the road. And so we just started eating Hot Pockets breakfast, lunch, and dinner for 30 days straight. And it was exactly like Super Size Me with McDonald's, and where the guy eats Mickey D's and ends up in the hospital. So my buddy wasn't doing too well. I looked at him and said, look, dude, we can't do Hot Pockets anymore. And so we ditched that, and we probably went through about a week-long detox of like legit sodium sweats and the shakes, and kind of got it out of our system. And then we started thinking clearly, and we ended up getting a corporate sponsor that was literally a block from our house. It was a really prominent job board at the time that was venture backed. They bought an RV for us. They sent us out on the road. We went 16,000 miles, 38 states, interviewed 300 people, and wrote a book about it. So it was a really cool journey.
Gosh, I can't even imagine. I mean, I've had my share of Hot Pockets in the days, but
I haven't had one since.
I'll bet you have not. Can you even stand to walk past them in the grocery stores?
I can't even stand to talk about them in the story.
Okay.
It hurts.
You would have had much better results if you guys had found Soylent to sponsor you. I think you could get away with that for 30 days, breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Yeah, no doubt.
Lose some weight, but Probably wouldn't have quite so much problems with the fault.
Right.
So that trip was for Pursue the Passion. Is that right?
Yep.
So that was a education startup. Like you said, you were cross country interviewing people about how they found passion for work. So what were your biggest takeaways from that adventure? I mean, all the hot pockets and sponsorship stuff aside, obviously, but talking about the people and the process and that passion.
So this was a long time ago. I think one of the biggest takeaways that still informs my work today is that people need a meaningful outlet to share their life's expertise and their experience. Not everyone gets to be on SaaS That App and doesn't get the microphone. And people need an outlet because your head's down working your life away for decades, and there's no one to really pass that knowledge on to. And so I think that people always want some sort of outlet to share that knowledge, to make it meaningful for the people who want to accept it. And that's really informing our work, what we're doing today with Featured.com, with Help a Reporter Out, where journalists can ask queries and anyone can answer those questions and have that knowledge be put to good use. So it's kind of gone full circle, ironically, from being on the road in the RV to where I'm at today.
Yeah, I was about to say, it seems to have come back to that. I mean, so long ago that was the idea that you had, and you've kind of returned to it. And in the middle, you've done a number of other things. The thing that you and I know each other from, of course, is dealing with marketers and digital marketing, like in a general sense. How did you hop through those then to get to Featured? So you start pursuing your passion and then right into digital marketing, or?
Well, so just connecting the dots. So after the RB tour, we went to go work for the corporate sponsor for a number of years. I exited. I left to go start a mobile app company, which failed within the first 6 months. So I learned a lot about that in terms of the market size really matters, the monetization and the margins. All three of those M's can inform your outcomes. So failed that, lucked my way into starting a coffee company with the actor Hugh Jackman. And so I spent a number of months helping Laughing Man Coffee and Tea get off the ground and get going. That company was ultimately acquired by Keurig. That was great. And then decided to basically launch my own marketing agency. And so spent a few years working on the site, as a freelancer, had about 6 clients or so. And then I got the website to rank on page 1 of Google for the term digital marketing company, and then decided to actually start a digital marketing company. So I was getting calls from all around the world, from people who were asking me about the company. It was just me and my dog at the time hanging out of the house. And so we scaled that to service more than 500 small businesses over the course of 10 years. And really just learn that the problem that, again, we're looking to solve today is how hard is it to get exposure for your business? It's incredibly difficult to connect with your customers online. And the thing that small businesses, suffer from is a lack of resources. They don't have a ton of time. They don't have a ton of money to devote to something like this, but they have a true need to connect with their clientele. The thing that they have going for them is an abundance of expertise and knowledge about their business and about their area of expertise. And so what we did at Marketers was we created a platform that allowed our clients to answer questions. We would take their insights and get them featured in articles. And it was incredibly beneficial for their businesses. We saw many clients scale 25x in the course of a year, in terms of their SEO and organic search presence. And so we said, hey, there's really something to this. And the platform's pace of growth is outpacing what the agency is looking like. So that's when I decided to transition from services to software.
Yeah, that's actually going to be one of my questions. At what point did the scales kind of tip in the favor of going the SaaS route rather than doubling down or really investing more heavily on the marketing aspects of it?
Yeah. So my background is in accounting. And so a lot of data informs decisions. And so it was partially that in terms of looking at the growth metrics and looking at what's the month-over-month growth and revenue and user acquisition. And then it's also partly the qualitative signals. So at the time, it was 10 years. 10 years I had been doing digital marketing and running an SEO company. So I think that it was a healthy time for me personally to make a transition. And it's always, gut and data informs your best decisions.
For sure. So Featured, obviously, for those that don't know it, it automates something that's traditionally much more human intensive. So you're trying to, match experts with publishing opportunities, and you built this application around that notion. And it keeps authenticity very front and center. Tell us just a little bit more about who Featured is meant to serve, the purpose, kind of the big broad strokes of Featured.
Sure. Yeah. So Featured.com connects sources with publications to create high quality content. And so Essentially what happens is experts get exposure and publishers get high quality content for their websites. And it's the ultimate win-win. And so the experts who use Featured are typically PR firms, in-house marketing teams, do-it-yourself small business owners that are looking to build up their visibility online. And then on the publisher side, you have journalists, you have website owners, you have bloggers, content creators that essentially need expert insights to back up the claims that they're making in their articles. And so a publisher could go to featured.com, they could ask a question, we'll invite vetted experts to answer that question, and then we'll essentially pass along those best insights over to the publisher for them to feature on their website. And so essentially an expert in a couple minutes can answer a question and then start to be featured in more than 2,500 different publications who are using featured.com.
That's fantastic. So like, what is the business model for that? Is it the people who are needing the expert sources who are your customers, or do you bill in both directions, or how does Featured make money?
So it's a premium B2B SaaS where anyone can answer 3 questions a month at no cost. And then if you want unlimited submissions, then there's paid subscriptions that could support that. So publications typically don't pay us anything to get these insights and to get the content. It's more so the people who are looking for exposure and looking at alternatives to get their name out there. And so our subscriptions start as little as $19 a month. They go up to $99 a month. And so it's a pretty affordable way to do some DIY PR.
So from a technical standpoint, what was the hardest part of kind of getting this thing off the ground? Was it actually having the pile of experts and those that are interested in it? Was it the technical aspects of it? Architecting the thing?
So the business model is a premium B2B SaaS, but the way that Featured operates is more of a marketplace. And marketplaces are a nightmare, like quite honestly. They're very, very hard because you've got to have both sides of the marketplace to ultimately work. You're constantly trying to find the right ratio. If one ratio is off, then it disrupts everything and it really slows momentum. So we've been at it for 3.5 years. And, and very clearly, like there's a hard side of the marketplace and there's a easier side of the marketplace. For us, the easier side of the marketplace is the side that pays us, which is the experts. They're the PR firms, the marketing teams, small business owners. And then the hard side is really these publishers. So how do you create opportunities that are relevant to people to get them featured in the media? And so for us, we've tried a lot of different things. We've tried being our own publisher, where today we own and operate over 300 different websites, and we're using Featured as a way to populate those sites with content. We also recently just acquired and revived Help a Reporter Out, or HARO, and we're really excited for that acquisition. HARO is a legacy platform in the space. It was founded in 2008. Journalists are able to get connected with virtually any source in the world to get quotes for their stories. So we revived that about 8 days ago, and it is far, far exceeded my expectations. I vastly underestimated how much people missed HARO in their inbox. So it's been really informative in terms of helping us increase supply on Featured and meeting the demand that people have to get found online.
Yeah, if you don't mind the technical ask, what's the stack that it's built in? What's the technology that your platform is on?
We are big fans of Vercel and Next.js and TypeScript. So a lot of it, we're basically in the process of bringing everything over to TypeScript and to Next.js. So it's Vercel is amazing. Like one of the biggest advancements that we've seen here, midway through 2025, is the adoption of V0 by Vercel, and it's basically using prompting to code. So I think that I don't know if it's a proper term, but vibe coding is how I refer to it, and it's incredible, the adoption that we've seen from people who are non-technical on our team, including myself. We're seeing like 4 or 5 V0 links a day go into our Slack, and now everyone's an entry-level engineer on our team. And so you could essentially take this entry-level engineering and take a concept that you used to go into Canva, try to mock up, try to explain to an engineering team, and then get it to development. Now you can take something like V0 and give it to a more experienced engineer who knows exactly what they're looking at, and they can take it across the finish line. So the pace at which we're able to develop and deploy solutions to meet customer needs is really incredible.
Yeah, Next.js is a fantastic framework, and I love that. I think that's a really great way to use AI, and it's interesting to hear how that's kind of working with your team and your non-technical staff are able to get really, really complete, clear pictures to your technical staff using AI, which I think is fantastic.
Yeah, that's so cool.
Everybody's using it a little bit differently. It's just like the new kid on the block almost, everybody's wanting to integrate or work with or in some way leverage AI. And it's always interesting to hear how people are finding ways of doing that, and having it so close to the core of what it is that you do is fascinating. I mean, I was going to ask you about, how you're managing from the technical perspective, scaling this thing as much as it has scale, but you kind of already answered that question. I mean, it's almost self-scaling. You can bring people in. It's almost like you're training them as you go with this process, and they're just working their way up, because obviously the familiarity at that entry-level engineer position, you can start to get a lot of familiarity very quickly and move up as you need to scale your team to support the platform. Is that?
Yeah. And I think that, in terms of scale, like, number one, hire some great people. Like, I think that's the key to everything. The fact that our team has been together for so many years, we're able to communicate really effectively and be able to push things forward. That I've never been a part of a team that's had better communication. So that's something that allows us to move at a really quick pace. And then in addition to that, in terms of scale, you mentioned earlier about a milestone that we just achieved, which was, the millionth answer that we've received through featured.com. I think we're already on pace to probably hit 2 million here pretty quick. What's allowing us to scale with this is not only an incredible team, but an incredible community. And then also the technical infrastructure that allows us to do things like AI analysis on different answers that have been submitted, so that we can connect journalists with the right verified sources and give them really high qualified insights. So the AI analysis is, it's vastly improving. We started when it was, I think, GPT-3, and we were one of the first OpenAI partners when I think it was like in 2022, I think that we became a part of their startups program. And, since then we've been a part of NVIDIA's startup program, with Google for Startups program, with AWS Activate program, which all afford incredible AI credit resources for startups like ours. It's allowed us to really experiment to figure out which models suit us best, which workflows need to flow through these different models, and how do we really get a leg up on everything so that we can scale.
So have you run into any issues like with the underlying system or the platform itself as you're hitting these big milestones? I mean, you hit the million answer, you say you're well on your way to 2 already. Is there a concern, or have there been any concerns with the infrastructure that you're currently on being able to continue to scale that fast?
Not necessarily with the infrastructure, but more so about the marketplace ratios of how do you have this equilibrium of supply and demand, and how do you consistently have repeatable, scalable tactics that allow you to increase those numbers and continue to grow the business. So for us, we feel really, really confident in how we're approaching both of those. The Haro acquisition has given us a lot of momentum, to and a great lever to pull when it comes to increasing supply. So we're just excited because, back to the original comment that we had of, hey, what did you learn from being in a stinky RV with 4 stinky guys for 4 months? It's the fact that we all just need to share this knowledge. One of the most eye-opening things that has happened to me on this journey was we asked, I got this email from this 94-year-old architect in New York. And he was one of the most decorated architects of his time. For 50 years, he was like the top architect in New York. And he wrote me and was like, hey, Brett, I saw a question about architecture. I've spent the last hour and a half answering it, and I just wanted to make sure that you got it. And I'm just picturing this guy who has been out of the workforce for a while, still has this need to share this knowledge that he accumulated over, 50 plus years as being an architect in NYC. And then just having the opportunity on a screen to share that and make it useful for others is something that I just think has a profound connection to humanity.
Yeah, that's incredible. And what a way to be able to reach out to those like him that would have all this expertise and know where to really put it anymore.
Yeah, just hanging out. Go to featured.com and boom, there it is.
Yeah, it's interesting to me because I'm thinking through your history and dealing with digital marketing, but in general services and in essence you're still providing services. It's more business to business rather than like individual client relationships, but it's still all about relationships. You're still, the way that you will fulfill things is you're just trying to connect people, right? Whether it's digital marketing or it's here you're trying to connect experts and publishers. There's still this inherent human aspect to it. You can't really automate that away.
Yeah, it's about connection.
So you spoke to having to play a little bit of a balancing act and keep the marketplace more or less in equilibrium. It sounded like maybe it was a little bit harder to have people who are looking for experts than it was to find experts who wanted to pay you for the chance to be featured. What are some of the things that you've done aside from trying to find more publications and find more people who are looking to feature others? Like, are you also like limiting the supply side, or how is that booked?
I don't think that there's any limits that we've placed on it. We've just tried to catch up as fast as possible. When we see there's the marketplace is out of balance, it's like, what can we do to get it so that it's peaceful? So I think one of the craziest things that we've done, quite honestly, is decided to be our own publisher and own and operate over 300 sites and use featured content as a way to populate that. And the thing that we've learned from that is like, we've got some crazy sites. Like we've got some, semiconductormagazine.com, logisticsnews.org, like, some really different, publications. And it's because there's not a lot of publications that cover that stuff. Like there's only a couple websites that are talking in depth about semiconductors, and well, maybe semiconductors are wrong. They're a little hot right now, but there's like everyone needs an outlet, and not everyone gets the microphone. So having these sites has given us a way to figure out, okay, like what are the shortcomings of featured? Where are we falling? Where do we need to improve? And then what are the ways that people do enjoy being featured? Is it different content types? What do we need to adjust? I just think that thinking like your persona is a great way to further improve your product, because it's one thing for me to be on live chat and in customer support and speaking with our team who's doing that every single day and listening to what customers need and making tweaks and things like that. It's a different when the idea origination is coming from you as a result of using your own product. So that's one thing I always try to encourage our team to do is like go in and answer questions on Featured. Like if you have 3 minutes, go to featured.com, answer just like our users. What do you notice? What's the friction points? How do we make that more seamless and smooth? And if we can make the product better day by day, then we start to win in the marketplace. And so I think that that's really where the mentality is at.
Yeah, it seems like it's a very stable platform, obviously, and you're now tuning more than anything else. But do you have any big departure points, like large features, or do you get, what kind of systems do you have in place to get the feedback to do the next thing to make it better? You're talking about little tweaks and changes and people coming up with ideas. What's that? How do you form up your roadmap?
I think it's always reiterating to people that you're available. And whether that's in a live chat and having a little green thing there that initiates and helps people feel comfortable to submit, whether that's sending personal emails, like we try to send a personal email that's not automated to every new subscriber, to every cancellation, to every person who's meeting certain milestones so that we can develop community. And when the community cares, they let you know about the stuff that you're messing up on. They let you know about the stuff that you're succeeding with. And their opinions can help you form what you need to build. So I think that that's probably one of the coolest things about running a service or a software or a platform, whatever you want to call it, for tens and thousands of, now with Haro, hundreds of thousands of people, that all you have to do is listen and let them know that you are listening. And one of the most enjoyable things for me and our team is to be able to deploy a new feature or a new solution within a couple hours of when someone requested it. We had that over the last week with Help Reporter Out. Journalists had said, hey, like, is there a way to stop this? Like, I have what I need. I'm being bombarded by more and more and more people. Is there a way to just press a stop button so that I don't keep getting emails when I have everything that I need for the story? Within 2 hours, boom, it's there. Like now you've got a I have everything I need button. You can click on that, and then it does the thing that this journalist wanted. it took me longer to tell him that this feature existed than for us to deploy the feature. So like having that is, it's really nice.
That kind of turnaround time and responsiveness to customers is a testament to the good work your tech team has done on deployments and staying really, really lean and mean. And the fact you're able to get software like that written and deployed in that amount of time is a huge testament to its technological achievement. So congratulations on that. It's really cool.
Hey, thanks for the reminder, because as a non-technical founder, that's one of the biggest challenges is like, how do you gauge the effectiveness of your tech team? How do you ensure that we're making progress as a company? And the thing I always come back to is just like trust. Like I've been working with these guys for so long, and our team for so long, that it's like, some weeks if I don't have the direction, I'm like, I trust you, bro. Like go out and do something good. And great engineers create great work for themselves. And so they know what the problems are. And so being able to give them the freedom and the trust to go deploy a solution, make my life and our users' lives a heck of a lot easier.
Yeah, having a great team is absolutely key. And yeah, it's one of the good things about my job is I get to work with people I've worked with for 5 years, 10, in some cases 10 years every day. And we communicate great, like you were saying earlier with your team. And we have a lot of trust going both directions. We know that we're going to deliver on the things we commit to. That's very cool.
So tell me a little bit about Pitch Plus.
So one of the biggest problems that we've got is not all pitches get featured. So with 1 million plus answers, we haven't had 1 million plus features. And so and that's a really frustrating experience for a user where, you spend all this time writing an answer, the 94-year-old architect, you spent an hour and a half writing this thoughtful piece, and the story got spiked in the last minute and they couldn't feature that. Or, I got everything I need and, I wasn't able to use it this time around. So there's really good nuggets of knowledge that exist on featured, and Pitch Plus basically gives a second life to answers that were not previously selected. And so what we do with Pitch Plus is it makes all of your not selected answers eligible to be pitched to a new question, new publication as those new opportunities come in. And so essentially what we do is we'll analyze the answer. We'll try to make matches with new and existing questions. And if we feel like there is a match, we'll email the user. They could then take a look at the question, look at the answer. They could either submit on the spot, they could make an edit, or they could just discard it and say, hey, I'm not interested in that publication, and keep moving on. So it's a way to give answers a second life, and at the same time, give journalists and publishers sources and answers on a much quicker basis.
I love that you were able to kind of frame this as it was a sore spot, and it was a sore spot for people that we're trying to grow our business around. How do we address that sore spot? Yeah, that's a terrific approach. I love that. Kind of wrapping up a little bit on feature just in general, but you talked about the balance between the supply and demand effectively, right? Are there other types of specific metrics that you kind of track or guide by that inform the decisions? At the top of the call, you and I were talking, kind of jokingly about just making sure the chart's always going up and to the right. So how do you make sure it is?
I think that for every business, it's different. Every business has kind of a North Star metric that founders need to obsessively track and the team needs to obsess over. For us, it'll sound very, very cheesy, but it's a metric that we have internally called magic moments. And magic moments is when people get featured in an article. So we call it magic moments because it really feels like that when you email someone and say, hey, your insights are on Fast Company. Your insights are on Inc. Your insights are on these prominent publications that you've read every day. And now it's there live. And so people freak out about it. And so that's the metric that we track is how many answers, insights have we been able to successfully place? Because that metric reflects our ability to deliver on the job to be done. It reflects on the value proposition of why people use our platform. They use us to be featured. And so if we're not tracking how many times we have featured people, that's the metric that, like, if you stripped away everything and you just said, here's the up and to the right graph of how many people you've placed month over month, I guarantee that that's going to follow suit with revenue. That's going to follow suit with your NPS score or whatever it is. All those other metrics just validate what your North Star metric actually is.
So thinking bigger picture, so business to business web applications just in a general sense, but obviously as it specifically can relate to featured and other things that you've done. We've alluded to it in several places along the course of our conversation here, but would you say then that real human knowledge is still probably the most important differentiator in business-to-business web applications and their success?
Yes, I think that AI is getting way better, and every single day raises the bar as to what good looks like. And to get above the bar, picture this is a high jump at a track and field meet. That bar keeps getting raised and raised. Your knowledge needs to exceed that bar. So a good baseline for it is go to ChatGPT or whatever your favorite AI platform is. Ask it a question, see what comes back, and what value on top of that could you add. So when we think about how do you unlock value in a B2B SaaS application, and is human knowledge the differentiator of this? It's very comparable to what we talked about earlier about V0. And now I'm an entry-level engineer. That's where AI is at, like entry level. You still need the knowledgeable team members to decipher whether or not this information is good. And so that's really where the knowledge can kick in.
Sure. So kind of the flip side of that same question, what would you say is a mistake or an issue that other SaaS founders make or that run into when they try to automate everything and they need to actually inject a human back into the process?
There was one of the very first engineers that I ever worked with. I was a very eager founder to automate everything for obvious reasons, better profit and, better efficiencies and all that stuff. And what he really taught me was like, hey, dude, I could automate anything, but like you need to manually do it first. You need to manually figure out what it is that we need to automate. We got to work through all the kinks that flush through the SOPs, the standard operating procedures, and allow me to automate the things that need to be automated. So I think that's the mistake that a lot of SaaS founders might have, and probably I had initially, was being in a rush to automate because you want to have better profits, you want to have better efficiencies, you want to reduce expenses, increase revenue. But at the same time, the automation will do nothing except scale problems really fast if you haven't manually jumped into those problems first.
Yeah, that's an absolutely brilliant insight. Someone who works with other people trying to implement technology, we see that a lot where people come to us for a tech solution to a problem that they haven't worked through the actual problem yet. And so all we can do is automate and scale. We can't solve the problem with technology if you haven't solved it with your business yet. So I think that's insight is absolutely spot on. Looking back at maybe people who are kind of coming a little bit earlier on in their journey or just starting businesses or just getting into kind of the B2B SaaS space, what advice or what nuggets of wisdom have you learned in your journey that you would give to someone who's a little bit behind you and on the path?
I mean, look, I'll say the first honest thing, and then I'll jump into a better answer. My first thought was, don't do it. And I'm like really serious with that. Like being a SaaS founder is probably one of the worst occupations I think imaginable. It's really, really painful, like to do it. It's not easy. There's a lot of reasons why you shouldn't do it. And if the reason to do it is to like get rich, you definitely shouldn't do it. Like, I think that, you need to have like a genuine curiosity for the problem that you're solving and then look at SaaS as a potential solution for that. And so, the advice is like, what problems exist in the world that you could spend the next 5 to 10 years tackling? So for me, like personally, it took probably well over a decade, maybe 15 years of refining what that problem looked like. And now I feel pretty good about, waking up every day to work on the solution. So, I think that it's a similar sentiment towards when should you automate something. It's probably a similar sentiment to say, when should you become a startup founder? And when should you act? And it's through, lived recognition of a problem and having enough, fuel in the tank to tackle it.
I think that's a great analysis. And by the way, you are not necessarily the first person that we have heard say the don't do it. What? Red flag warning.
I mean, there's a lot of reasons to do it for sure. Like, I don't want to call myself a hypocrite with it. Like, I love doing it. I do it for, personal reasons where I've got 3 kids and I want to set a good example for them to show what an entrepreneur looks like. And it's like hard. It's hard to, have a family with a 12-year-old, a 9-year-old, a 6-year-old where they went to kindergarten all day. They want to play. And it's like, bro, I just went through a company acquisition today. And I'm freaking tired. Let's talk about that. So I don't know. It's a great reminder constantly that as much as you care about solving this problem, there's a heck of a lot of other, simple problems like where's my tiny turtle toy, that stuff like that.
Fantastic. So Brett, it has been a real pleasure. This has been a lot of fun. I've enjoyed getting to talk with you again. It's been ages, it feels like, but just hear what you've had going on, what you've been working toward. We just really thanks so much for sharing your time and your talents with us here.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, and go SaaS That App, y'all.
Yes. So we've been talking with Brett Farmiloe, who, among other things, is the founder and CEO of Featured. Brett, where and how is the best way for people to reach you?
You can go to featured.com and you can sign up and message us. My email is brett@featured.com as well.
Go to featured.com, answer some questions, see your name in print. It's good stuff.
There you go.
There you go.
Boil it all down. And thanks as always to Justin as well. I appreciate you being here, buddy.
Always a pleasure, my friend. Always a pleasure.
Last but certainly not least, thanks to our listeners. If you like what you're hearing, have ideas for the show, just want to tell us what's on your mind, throw a review our way, hit that subscribe button if you're so inclined, and we will see you next time on SaaS That App. Thanks for cruising along with us on SaaS That App. We hope you grabbed some insights that were inspiring, actionable, or at least entertaining.
If you enjoyed the show, don't forget to subscribe and leave a review.
Until next time, keep building, keep growing, and keep those apps sassy.